Let's freaking go. The fantasy football card quest is on the road, baby. Just getting excited for the football season. Now, Andy, we know a lot of people are super busy because not only are you listing your cards and all of that, you're also doing a ton of fantasy football drafts. We've done a ton on the quest with Underdog Fantasy and all that good stuff. But today, Andy, we want to start off with a simple topic. For the last couple of weeks, we've been just telling people list as many cards as you possibly can to take advantage of this hype cycle. I want to know, comment down below, have you sold at least 20 or more cards? I told you we were going to go 15, but I want to go even higher. 20 or more cards, because we have people in our football card Discord on the Patreon that say, I've sold over 300 cards. We've had some really impressive people, Andy, like Perry, just killing it right now. So, Andy, my question for you is, have you sold 20 or more football cards during this hype cycle?
Yeah, I was just counting it up. I think I'm over 20 for sure. Yeah, I'm going back to the beginning of August. And I mean, even selling stuff like DK Metcalf. I was selling Mitchell Trubisky earlier, and I think now his hype is kind of picking back up. So I wouldn't be surprised if I sell another one. But I mean, items per page 25. I'm on the second page. So yeah, definitely sold over 30 cards in August.
Ooh, I couldn't believe it when you told me over 300 cards from our patrons. So once again, this is the time to list. You could do it in so many different ways. You can list it at a really high buy it now price and, have offers and never sell the card. I do that with some of my cards because I don't really want to, sell them. But, the best thing to do, buy it now at a reasonable, actionable price. Or if you just absolutely want to move it now, do the 99-cent auction, but make sure you do it at night on Sunday night or when the game's happening or whatever. But for me, Andy, as far as like selling cards are concerned, it's also important to know that it's okay if you haven't sold 20 cards as well. And it's also okay if you're still buying cards. If that is what you want to do, you should do it. But Andy, this is the most important thing. If somebody is just jumping in, new to the hobby, understand that right now the prices are going to be super high, where here in a few months, the same price on the card that you might be looking at might be half of what you're looking at.
Yeah, there's a reason why the buy it now sold volume on graded football cards on eBay is down. It's healthy. I mean, like yesterday there were 412, buy it now solds on graded football cards, but I mean that's down from earlier in the preseason process and everything, and that's just because prices have continued to go up. So chances are, if you're like getting into a buy it now right now, you could be overpaying. It's important to go through the sold comping process. Like look at guys from that same draft class, from that same card, see what they're kind of at. Give yourself a gauge of what the potential floor and ceiling could look like for that card. And then also look at that specific card and the sold transaction, see if you can find some that have been selling recently. If it's super rare, then you just have got to rely on cards from that same set as similar scarcity and what they have sold for recently to give yourself a gauge of what that's going for. And ultimately, I'm finding my best deals in auctions right now. There's still a lot of auctions because you have a lot of newer sellers out there. They may be ending auctions in the morning, throughout the day, throughout the week, when it's not ideal to end your auctions to kind of capitalize on the most amount of bidders and people paying attention. And that's when you can find your best deals.
And obviously, when you just look at the current card market, Andy, the story for me is just how high some of these select prices have been. And, you've been looking at the prices on retail wax with this product in particular. I have cried. I have already admitted defeat because even one of our viewers pulled a Jamar Chase zebra print card, and I cannot afford it. So, for me, select, it's going for a lot right now, Andy, and it discourages me just a little bit. Now, if you are one of those people that are pulling some of these cards, good for you. But for the most part, are really liking this design.
Yeah, I do too. They've definitely done a good job. The design looks better this year. And just like any new product, Carter, the prices always start out high and they kind of level out as more supply makes its way to the marketplace. But yeah, I'm seeing the select blaster boxes going for about $75 to $80, and that's more than what 2021 Prizm blaster boxes are
Yeah,
going for right now, around 50 to 60. And the Optic is still being touted as having the most hits in it, having the highest hit rate. So that one still has a healthy resale value, about $70 to $80, and about $125 for the mega boxes, which gives you, which they say on the box, on average, you find one autograph or memorabilia card. So it's pretty interesting. We ripped a blaster box of Optic yesterday. We got a nice little, short print insert from Justin Herbert, and we pulled a Mac Jones Optic Gridiron King. So it'll be, I think that box kind of paid itself off, which, is not bad if you're buying it at retail prices. Like,
exactly.
it's not the same draft class as 2020. It's deep though. Like, I think 2021, the skill position players between Jamar and Kyle Pitts and Javante and some of these guys and the quarterbacks that are all relevant, none of them have really broken out yet. So, there's that, whereas Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow have broken out, taken it to that next step. And even you could argue, I mean, Tua and Jalen Hurts are on the verge of doing that. And the quarterbacks kind of drive that market in terms of, you have an exponentially higher ceiling on a quarterback's card than you do a skill position player's card. And we've seen that evolve a little bit over the past couple of years. A prime example is 2021 select Jamar Chase, or any of the Jamar Chase cards compared to some of the quarterbacks.
Yeah, and Andy, we brought this up a few months ago and we agreed on it. If skill position players ever become a thing, if non-quarterbacks ever become a thing, you want to make sure you have some sealed 2021 product. I do think the prices have gone up high. 120 for a mega box is a little high, but then you look at 2020 Prizm mega boxes, they're going for 300, around that. Some will end at 250, but mostly they're 300, just depending on when you were looking at it over the past months. Because I do have a 2020 Prizm mega box, so there is upside just in the sealed wax alone. And once again, you look at 2021, I think Kyle Pitts is going to be a Hall of Famer. I think Jamar Chase is going to be a Hall of Famer. I think Micah Parsons are going to be a Hall of Famer. And you can argue they had the 3 best rookie seasons ever at their select pun, like the dad joke, at their select positions. And yeah, Justin Jefferson in the draft class before. And that's what makes it very interesting, because we don't know if any of these 2021 quarterbacks are going to break out, but there's 6 of them. In 2020, we know that Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert are really, really special. We also know that Jalen Hurts and Tua, even though I like Jalen more than Tua, and I'm not much of a Tua guy, as you know, Andy, 2020 has all these rock star, for sure, surefire quarterbacks as well. So it is a very interesting dynamic when you look at, select and Optic prices. I prefer select over Optic in this year. I just like the designs better. So that is just, the Jamar Chase designs, but I've enjoyed some of these tie dyes and whatnot on the select product as well. So for me, Andy, I know you've been looking at these sealed wax prices. I think they're kind of sort of justified, because sealed wax has just always been, a big thing in this hobby.
Yeah, especially Optic, it's definitely justified. It's the one thing that you could buy into and almost guaranteed, because of it seems like there's always at least a couple players in the draft class, at least 1 or 2, that break out to the next level, and become somewhat of superstars, if not full-blown superstars in the NFL. So, that'll keep that draft class afloat. And then the more of those guys you have in there, but it's like very rare that you will see a sealed product, especially from like Prizm or Optic, come out and then 6 to 9 months later that go down in value. That I don't know if that's ever happened, especially on the premium sets. Like, yeah, maybe if you're buying Chronicles or you're buying like Score or Illusions or Luminance, something like this that unparalleled, that doesn't have the same clout as a Prizm or an Optic. And I mean, those are two main ones. I do think the design on Select this year is much nicer. So maybe that's definitely going to help Select kind of regain some ground on how bad they did in 2020, just based on the amount of product that they released over the 2019 and prior Selects. So, it's pretty much that seal wax is a very good, safe, long-term investment because it just typically goes up in value.
Yeah, and I think it is important, especially now with these episodes, Andy. We're getting a lot of new viewers, right? Because everybody wants to know about football cards. It is hot. You see it, and you see all the sales and all of that. Um, so for those that aren't familiar, sealed wax is just a box of cards that is still sealed by the manufacturer, right? And this is something neat. When I was giving out cards at this event, and you'll learn more about what happened this weekend in the outtakes. But someone asked me about the whole ripping wax. Like, did you pull all of these cards? They thought I pulled all of them. I was like, no, just bought them off eBay, and they have all these different questions. Um, so basically, you buy the box and it stays sealed, and you don't rip it, right? And that is a big thing. That is kind of sort of like a play. And I know it's kind of foreign because, growing up, if you did grow up in the hobby and now you're just getting back in it, you know, you're just accustomed to buying boxes, and whatever cards you rip out of the boxes are the ones that you're going to have. So the idea of that is kind of flipped on its head, right? You do want to go buy boxes, but you don't want to actually rip the box unless you want to take the gamble. Because if you take the gamble and get a Mac Jones super nice card, it's definitely worth actually it's worth more than the box sealed. So it's a very interesting concept, Andy. And I know I have fluctuated on it back and forth. So it's like, why would I buy a box and it just gathered dust? But that's just how it is, man. People like that idea of, well, there might be something special. It's like that Family Guy sketch. There might be something in the treasure box, Andy.
Yep, that's it, man. People love the thrill of ripping that pack and seeing what's in there. I mean, I did one yesterday, gave away a couple blaster boxes on the channel live, and it is a thrill, man. Opening that and just man, because you have that potential to get a hit. You don't know; it could be a 1 of 1 in there. We saw the young
Ooh,
man that ripped the 1 of 1 Justin Herbert from 2020. I mean, the room was shaking. His friends were going so crazy. I mean, but it's like that's a life-changing card. That's a $200,000 card that he
minimum.
just pulled out of a pack and just changed his life. So that's like that chase. It's the scratch off lottery ticket, you know. But if you're not feeling that, and it's like it's hard to hold like buy sealed wax football, at least for me, because I'm such a diehard fanatic about football. Like it's really hard for me to hold that sealed. I can hold basketball, baseball, hockey, whatever, no problem sealed, no desire to open it up. But football, I want to rip it open, you know?
What would you have done if you pulled that Herbert card?
Oh my God. Well, I probably would have set it down. Like I'm afraid, that
Yeah.
like just set it down on the table. Okay. And then like stand at it, I'm sure I'd be in shock as well. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know. That's one of those things like, do you even risk sending it somewhere to get
No.
graded?
Mm-mm.
Or do you go to you go to the find the next biggest card show you can go to and figure out a way to fly or drive there and try and sell it to a big dealer at a show.
Yeah, I what I would do is a card of that magnitude. I'm booking a plane ticket to, one of these like PWCC or something like that, or Golden, and get the insurance and all the stuff. I don't want anything to do with it. I want them to hold it, and I don't trust myself enough if I pulled that card. I'm still shocked it's out there because you always wonder, is that card ever going to surface. And I do think, that one and the Joe Burrow one. I know the Joe Burrow autographed version of that card was graded by PSA and it's out there somewhere. But there's something about just the card itself without the auto. I kind of just because then it's just the card. I don't know. I saw that card. I was like, "There's no way. There's no way that thing was ripped." But that's the beauty of it, man. And something about that black finite 1 of 1, man. Here's the thing with that. If you can get a black finite 1 of 1 and just decent players for like a few $100, it's worth it. I just speaking from experience, it's worth it. There's nothing like that black finite 1 of 1, man. It's got a cool name to it. It's got a cool shimmer to it. It kind of feels like you're holding something from the Avengers, like some kind of magical stone. The black finite finish. It truly is special. Like even Joe Namath in a PSA slab. If there's a Joe Namath collection, look, there's not going to be a lot of Joe Namath, rare parallel cards out there. Whoever got that for $450, that is not a bad move at all. Honestly, I know it sounds like a lot, and Joe Namath didn't play it anymore, but there's something about that black finite 1 of 1, man. There's something about it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It doesn't matter, veteran, rookie. I mean, there is a true chase for any 1 of 1, especially a black finite 1 of 1 from Prizm. I'm a sucker for this X Fractor design or the gold vinyl design where it's got like these little mosaic squares. The way that refractor like reflects off the card. I mean, it's gorgeous, man. This is a really nice card.
Dante Hall, huh? I just like these.
$250.
I like these random. The X-Man, throw up the X, baby. Dante Hall.
This is my man Joe Tryon Sharinka.
His 101 went for 500?
500, bro.
No.
Non-autographed.
Non-autograph, and it just sold? No best offer? So what that tells me is if not everybody's going to be just Google searching Joe Tryon cards. So that means that person like probably looked at that card and just said, I want it, and just bought it. Didn't even send an offer. Very, very interesting. I could look at black finite 1 of 1s all freaking day. I really can, because it's just the one version of the card. You're not so much looking at condition. You're not so much looking at all these other parallels. And there's something about, just going through it and seeing all the different black finite 1 of 1s that are out there. It's very interesting. Hunter Renfro 1 of 1. Look at that.
Yeah, look at the Renfro veteran card.
Jersey color match too with the black finite.
Yeah, that's nice, man. People wanting to build their super PC of a player. I mean, these cards are like chase cards, grail cards, must-haves for the collection. And it's from Prizm. It's 1 of 1. I would say this same rule applies to gold, whether it's the gold vinyl 1 of 1 or just gold parallels, even if it's a PSA 8. Even if it's, not the best condition of card, if it's a gold card, even if it's not the best player or the best set, gold cards numbered out of 5 and 10 that have autographs or that rare are very, very desirable, even in veteran form and for a lot of different players, Carter.
Totally agree with you. And it goes back to, if you want to see our full episode with Bazay, J-Jets 18, who's the Justin Jefferson super collector. He said those gold ones are tough to find. The ones numbered to 5, numbered to 8, numbered to 10. Most golds are numbered to 10. Some, like, your Kadarius Toney is numbered only to 5. Anytime you can get gold numbered to 10 for pennies, take advantage of it. I've kind of built a miniature. He's not my main PC. Marcus Colston, and his gold 2012 Prizm card I got for $10 at a little hobby shop. $10 of the 2012 first year Prizm. There are people that try to build full sets of these cards, and gold number to 10, you got to have it. So it's very, very interesting. Like Jermaine Grisham.
$125.
I was just talking about this card. I got the Marcus Colston. And this wasn't planned, I promise you. I got the Marcus Colston for $10. $10. And
Yeah,
Jermaine Grisham.
and this Deshaun Watson is a PSA 6. PSA 6 probably went for, somewhere over $500
It is
because
kind
it's
of
gold.
it is kind of interesting. New listing Jermaine Grisham sold for $125.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's
Who does?
gold though, so you never know when someone's trying to complete that rainbow
Oh
or
yeah,
trying to complete that PC, and they're just filtering by gold. They're just looking for gold. They're looking for scarcity, and they know gold is either numbered 5 or 10, and it's really nice. It's very desirable, very popular within the hobby. And yeah, you never know when they're going to pay, but they see it listed and buy it now. They're like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and drop 100 or 125 on the card. That's what I'm doing with this Kadarius Toney. It's from XR. And stay tuned to outtakes. You guys will see it. It's auction I saw ending on I was doing some research, ending on a Thursday afternoon. It was numbered out of 5, autograph Kadarius Toney, and I was like, this is way too low, no competition. And I put it up in the Discord server, and nobody was around. Everybody was working, busy, etc. I was like, you guys not getting in on this? No, nobody got it. So I got it the last second for $35, like $40 out the door with shipping, and I'm about to sell it for $100. Maybe more. We'll see. I'm kind of holding out, but I've got a bunch of offers already. So
let's get into hobby tip of the week. I have one, and this one is a little bit different than your normal hobby tip of the week, but always understand that this hobby, while it is simple, it's also very complex, right? And once again, in the outtakes, we'll talk more about this, but there are a lot of little intricacies about football cards and just sports cards in general that it takes a while for someone to try and get into it to understand. So always understand that aspect of it. If someone new, I've been very sympathetic to new people in the hobby that want to get into football cards, because at one time, Andy, you were clueless. I were clueless. I can't even talk. And it's important to keep that in mind. There are some things that seem to be common knowledge, but it's not common knowledge for somebody new, or not necessarily just somebody new, but somebody who is just now like getting back into it as well. So, there's always that learning curve. I would say, Andy, it takes about 2 or 3 months really to not necessarily understand how prices and hype cycles and all that stuff works, but just like the basics of it. It's kind of like learning a new language, but it really is. I'd say it takes about like 2 or 3 months if you're really into it to truly understand it. And that's why we have the Patreon. That's why we have the Discord. To chat amongst not only people like you that are very sharp with it, but people that have been in the industry for a very long time. So always be mindful if you're talking to someone, because they may not have the same amount of experience as you do.
Yeah, very true. And that's the big difference between playing fantasy football. Like everybody, has their player takes, and in fantasy football, we talk about prices in terms of where you're getting that player in a draft, but it's always that one variation of a player. There's not multiple variations of a player to draft from, and that's the big difference. In football cards, there are hundreds and thousands of different variations of a player to buy in at, and then also many, many different price levels and pricing options. So, it really does take time. Like my daughter's getting into Pokemon cards right now, and I am not knowledgeable at all about Pokemon cards. So right now I'm doing a lot of research on this, like on the weekends with her on the side, like figuring out what is legendary Pokemon. Like, there's so many different variances, not just the one variation of a Pokemon. I'm learning that there's a lot of nuance to that as well.
Right.
So, and with football cards, that totally applies. So, and that's what our job is, Carter. We're trying to accelerate people's learning curve and get them up to speed so they can get in, they can have fun, make some flips, make some profitable sales, and turn that in, build a better PC. You know, get some of those Grail cards and kind of figure out where they want to fit into the hobby and how they want to build their collection and that kind of stuff, and then just have fun, you know.
And your hobby tip of the week, do you have
Yeah.
one?
Oh, my hobby tip of the week is shout out to these guys over here at Slab Magic. I'm a shout out to Jonathan Taylor Cards because he shared this with me. And these guys have an incredible little product and service. And look at that, man. They just take off massive scratches off of a slab.
Ooh.
Or this could apply to a one-touch case. Their product has the ability to take off some serious scratches for a pretty small nominal fee. So I would definitely check them out if you got any slabs that are all scratched up. That's going to hurt your resale value. It's also a big drawback from the aesthetics of the card. You know what I'm saying? So,
Wow.
yeah, check them out. Slab Magic.
Very interesting. I hope you're getting some nickels for this.
No affiliation. Just shouting out a cool product.
Yeah. So let me sound off on this. Okay. There are a lot of slabs with scratches. I think slabs get scratches worse than cards do sometimes, right? And I have some slabs that are of semi-valuable cards that do have some scratches on it. I never really thought about it, you know, too much, but that is very interesting. Um, and the thing that makes that very interesting is it is such a pain to reholster a card. As someone who went through it and lost a lot of money just because of a reholster, it's insane. So I am definitely going to check out not only that, but maybe some other products that can help clean some of these slabs. So it is very, very interesting. Now, Andy, it is time for play of the week, and I am actually going to go first. And this is somebody I do actually hold some of his rookie cards, and I am not selling before the season because I am really high on this team going into next year, and that is the Minnesota Vikings. Okay. Now, Minnesota is a very weird team. Okay. I have some friends that cover the Vikings. Obviously, as a Saints fan, the Vikings are a sore subject, right? But the one thing that makes Minnesota very fascinating, makes them very unique as a team compared to every other team in the NFL, is that their biggest stars have been wide receivers, and their wide receiver stars have been so much bigger than their quarterback stars. Right? You had Randy Moss and Chris Carter, way bigger stars than Dante Culpepper. Even I know you remember this, Andy. If you watch it on YouTube, the DC baby. Let me see you do it. Let me see it. Let me see it, Andy. Let me see it. There we go. So Dante was a good player, but the stars were Randy Moss and to a lesser extent Chris Carter. And now you have kind of the same thing here with Justin Jefferson, who's top 5 non quarterback in the NFL, not only in fantasy but just in stardom. So I'm going to go to Kirk Cousins, right? This is a guy who's put together quietly a great career. Now, does he have a gazillion Pro Bowls? No. Does he have a lot of playoff success? No. But Andy, you and I were looking at his PSA 10s before the year, pop 31 for a PSA 10. I have no idea what happened there, but the price of that is very interesting. And just overall, I have some Kirk Cousins like rookie autos that I got for very, very cheap and just sniped them a few years ago just to have some QB auctions of a guy that puts up big numbers and has always been on competitive teams. And you're telling me, Andy, that they have a week 1 matchup against Green Bay What did Green Bay do last year in week 1? Well, they laid an egg to Jameis Winston and the Saints. Aaron Rodgers, relax. He's low key. Aaron Rodgers isn't going to come out guns a-blazing, right? He is not the fastest starter you'll ever see. I love Minnesota in week 1 versus Green Bay. It's one of my favorite plays, and just in terms of, one team going up against another. Got Aaron Rodgers with a brand new group of receivers. So I'm actually going to give you 2-ish plays of the week. Kirk Cousins, if you have some Kirk Cousins just sitting around, go ahead and list him, buy nows, because if he goes out there and outduels Aaron Rodgers, people are going to say, well, maybe I should go get some Kirk Cousins. There's a lot of people out there that don't have any Kirk Cousins that want a piece of a quarterback on a contender. And if Minnesota beats Green Bay, one thing that the national media wants to do so badly is turn the page on Aaron Rodgers. A lot of people are sick of this guy, right? If Minnesota wins week 1, and you look at the rest of the division, it's the Lions and the Bears. The Vikings hype cycle with Justin Jefferson, Harrison Smith, and a lot of these, Dalvin Cook, a lot of really talented players on this team, and a new coach, is going to get very, very interesting. So I don't think Green Bay is as good as they are last year, and it's not just a Devontae Adams thing. I really like Kirk Cousins because you can still, get him for cheap right now. And I know a lot of you just have some Kirk Cousins cards just sitting around. So I just find him to be very, very fascinating. I really do.
Yeah, it's such an interesting matchup this week 1 because you're going to have Justin Jefferson against Jair Alexander and or Eric Stokes, and the Green Bay does have pretty elite defense. So if Kirk Cousins can outdo him, because last year Kirk Cousins had top 10 in both deep ball and red zone completion accuracy. And I love the price point of Kirk Cousins' rookie card combined with the low population. Like there's opportunity there to find good raw cards. I don't know exactly what they're going at now. I'm sure they've gone up a little bit, but rookie ticket autos for Kirk Cousins for like $100, like a tenth of what a Russell Wilson or something like that. Just a lot of upward potential for a card that is very rare, right? It's just not floating around everywhere. It's readily available. I like that play, Carter.
All right, Andy.
Mine is also a quarterback play, and it's going to be Baker Mayfield with the Carolina Panthers. I'm not seeing his prices really go up as much as I think they should based on this week 1 matchup against the Cleveland Browns. He's had a solid preseason. He's the locked and loaded starter for the Panthers on a much improved defense. They get J.C. Horn back. The defense is healthy with Burns and Jeremy Chin, and these guys look really solid so far. I would not be surprised at all that Baker just lights up the Browns week 1 because he's now a healthy Baker with a chip on his shoulder. You know what I'm saying? So, and if you go back to 2020, Baker was number 6 best quarterback in deep ball completion percentage, top 10 in red zone, top 10 in play action. Like Baker Mayfield had some very good accuracy numbers, and he was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in college. Coming from an underdog story there. So I think that Baker Mayfield has the potential. And looking at the opening schedule for the Panthers, they play the Browns week 1, then they get the Giants in week 2, and then they go to the Saints, but the Saints are at home. It's in Carolina. And then the Cardinals come to Carolina. So those are their four matchups. I hate to say it, Carter. We could be looking at a 3-0 Panthers team after beating the Saints at home in week 3. At least a 2-0, right?
Ooh.
But I think that the Panthers could easily, just based on the strength of their defense and playing at home, that was one game where they really dominated Jameis Winston last year in Carolina early in the season. I think their defense is going to be a lot better than people realize. Like Carolina's defense doesn't even go drafted in fantasy drafts with the defense. I'm able to pick them up off the waiver. I think they're a great streaming option week 1. I think this is going to help Baker with Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. They bring in Laviska Shenault to play that slot gadget role. I think he's supplanted Terrace Marshall on the roster. It just gives them more weapons. I think they're absolutely going to outgun, and they're going to beat the Browns and the Giants, potentially the Saints. That's a 3-0 start. That's a massive turnaround for Baker's career, and everybody is just going to be like, Baker, Baker, Baker. You know, they're going to remember how good he was in 2020, leading to the Browns to their first playoff win in like over a decade, and his cards are going to go up a lot based on what they're at right now.
Baker the playmaker, baby. So, Andy, as you know, made a Baker Mayfield play and it worked out well for me. A lot of people saw this coming, and I've seen some people buy some nasty Bakers earlier this off season, and they are rolling in the dough right now. And this is the one thing, doesn't matter if he can't play a lick. People like quarterback hype cycles, and more importantly, people like a redemption story. Okay. What's very interesting about Baker Mayfield is, Andy, nothing will. Oh, look at that zebra print one right there.
$54, dude. This is what I'm talking about. His prices spiked a little bit when he signed with the Panthers, and then they totally cooled off. And it's almost like people are kind of down and out on the Panthers as a whole right now, but they are sleeping on this team. And I hate to say it because I'm a Tampa Bay fan, but the writing is on the wall for the Panthers to have a much better season than what they're predicted to do right now. And the start, they could potentially, they're a sneaky candidate to sneak in a wild card spot or even win the NFC South if Tom Brady falls off, because now we're on our third center. We're picking guys up off the street to play center for him. And you know how Tom Brady is with that interior offensive line, getting pressure in the interior. It's not good for Brady. Not good for Brady.
I am going to push back on Panthers winning the NFC South. Andy, you really believe that? You know, like Cam Jordan and all those guys for the Saints, they still exist. Right?
I know they do.
Are you selling? You're not as high on the Saints as everybody else, are you?
I have no faith, no confidence in Dennis Allen. I think it's a bigger hit to the team. And I don't know if Michael Thomas is going to be able to get on the field. I am very bullish on Chris Olave. Like, I am constantly looking Chris Olave cards every week because he's a rookie. I love Jarvis Landry. I love Tyrann Mathieu on the defense, and you guys have some components there, but you also lost some pieces. And I feel like it's I don't know, man. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to quite keep up enough with some of these offenses and the firepower that the Panthers have on defense. And depends on what kind of Jameis Winston you get and how healthy your players are.
That's a good thing. So we will release this pod, and I'll say thanks to everyone in the fantasy football Card Quest Nation for making this show the absolute funnest. Once again, listen to the outtakes. We got a lot of fun stuff for you. Subscribe on YouTube. That obviously goes a long way, but the 5-star reviews and all that stuff, get in the comment section. Have you sold 20 cards or more? We're going to hang out with you down there. Andy, until next week, my brother. Peace, baby.
Peace, man. Good stuff. What's up, man?
Let's go. Let's freaking go. I have to let you in on something.
Okay.
Everything that is wrong with LSU football is my fault.
Uh-oh. How is it your fault? Like the muffed punts, the blocked field goals,
It's funny because there were, let's see, 1, 2, I would say 3 players on LSU's offense that will be like super big football cards here in just a few years, and we still look terrible. Hire the best coach you possibly can get. But I was thinking about this, and I want everyone to know this, and I want this to be in the outtakes. You sent me the thing from Jeff Wilson last night. I'm telling you, when it comes to a solo football card, one football card, people love it. I promise you. So I did this event for Power Hour LSU this past weekend, and I gave out a ton of cards. Some are nice. A lot of them were, just your typical $5 to $10 like Jamar Chase rookie card. Jamar, as you know, is just going to be so big. get out some Joe Burrow, just like small little base stuff. And people, and I know this isn't like for our audience, for instance, because if you're listening to this, you're a big like football card person or whatever. People just loved it. Like I had the cards already top loaded. And I had it, I had like this desk, and I had all these my bands that I give out and all this stuff. And when I handed someone a card and a top loader, it was like they were getting some real treasure. And also that they were at an event, a game, that they got something that they could just stick in their purse. Right? I gave my Jamar Chase card to a guy named Cole, big, uh, really nice guy, and his girlfriend was with them, and he got the Jamar Chase card. He was super happy about it. He gave it to her, and like when you go into games, you can't like carry like super big purses now. You gotta have like a clear or whatever. She was able to just stick it in there, no problem, because it was just one card. People like cards. They like the miniatureness of it. It's small, kind of like everything is so like phone based now. Uh, and that was like the first time, like I send cards to a lot of people when they get shirts or they join my Patreon, or just when we're doing giveaways. But I send like a lot of them, right? I'll send like 5 to 10 of them. But at an event, if you're just like handing a card to a kid or whatever, it's a perfect thing. The perfect thing. The absolute perfect thing. But how are you, Andy?
That's cool. No, I remember when I went to the stadium before the Super Bowl, when the Super Bowl was here in Tampa and the Bucks were in it, and I went there and I handed out some cards to some guys, some different guys. And I remember one guy was Levante David top scorer. Like I had a bunch of them, and
Nice.
you would have thought I handed a guy like $100 bill or like gold. Like he was so pumped up, so excited. And so I gave them to a couple of people, and it's like neither one of those people were into sports cards or football cards, but it's something about, they understand that like this is not just I don't know. You could tell it's something that's is definitely desirable. Like it's not something that's just sitting around that you can pick up at your corner store, your Walgreens real quick.
Yeah.
You put some work in.
Dude, they loved it. They loved
But
it,
for
man.
us, we like that's like we bought them in volume. It's like only a couple dollars a piece kind of thing, and
Yeah, if that. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, man, today I want to, obviously, we're so close to the season. I want to talk about listing and all that stuff. But, something I found to be like very, very interesting is, you know, just how high select is. So the guy with the Jamar Chase zebra, what's the viewer's name again? Zach? I could look it up again.
oh shoot, I have to go look it up.
I'm glad he reached out to us.
I totally
I
forgot what
kind
his
of
name.
wanted to meet up with him just to look at the card in person.
Z in Louisiana.
He's in Baton Rouge, where I'm at.
Oh,
Can't find it, but either way, the card was. Oh, there it is.
dude, he was pumped, man. Oh yeah, Chris K. Yeah, he was in the live chat from live stream I did yesterday with a giveaway, and he was pumped, man.
I wonder if he sold it. Let me see. I think he sent me the. I didn't send me the listing. Um, the Jamar Chase stuff is just going for such insane amounts of dollars right now. And I think that's probably like the most impressive thing I've seen, because like quarterbacks are gonna do the thing, but it's just amazing how expensive he is, man. Like I couldn't even begin to start a Jamar Chase collection right now.
I'm telling you, man, there's been a shift now that a lot of the people that kind of hopped in 2020 looking at it as a get rich quick scheme, and they were buying all the base PSA 10 cards of quarterbacks and flipping them and stuff. And I think it's evolved and transitioned a lot nowadays to the skill. It's just really it comes down to, is this a good player? Like, and of course there's other factors in there like the team that they're on and the fan base and their story and how their performance is and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's really kind of wide open now. Obviously quarterbacks still drive it, but you look at Jamar Chase as a prime example, man, of what the new market is kind of demanding for certain players.
How do I sound? Do I sound okay? I have like a little rig here.
Yeah, you sound fine, man. You sound fine. Your voice is a little deeper than usual. It sounds like you've been partying pretty hard. But I know you were live like 3 times on Sunday from Stumpy's. I watched part of that live stream because I wanted to see your reaction.
I will never, ever really promote anything like PHL other than, like the football card giveaway. Cause I know people don't care about the, like the inner workings of LSU football. Some of them do. I'm sure JJ Bama does. SEC teams care about like other SEC teams and all that stuff. But our, my halftime show got really wild. I highly recommend everybody go to, and I know it sounds like dated, but the first 5 minutes of that halftime show got pretty insane. That's the fun thing about doing a live show. That's why me and you are dreaming of doing our show from the National, and you and I still haven't met, which is always kind of strange. And I remember seeing like other podcasts meeting each other at the National. So what I want to do today is start off with a topic like we've been doing, this or that, this or that. And I was trying to think of the absolute best one last night. I wanted to sleep on it. And I thought about this one, but this one might be just a better topic for the off season.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably is because, it's kind of like a physical kind of thing. But if you pull a big card, do you put it in a penny sleeve top loader or do you put it in a one touch? I'm always curious what people do in that situation. Because I don't rip a lot. When I get a card, I get a card. But if I have a super nice card, I want it in a one touch, but I don't have a whole lot of these pro mold penny sleeve one touches. So sometimes I'll leave it in the top loader. But
you don't want to leave it in a one touch for too long. I know that.
In are you talking about like why don't you want to leave it in a one touch too long?
Well, because there's a potential that it could stick to the plexiglass on that thing, and it could
really?
damage the card. Yeah, there's been stories of it causing edge issues and also surface issues. It being in a one touch too long, and that may be more applicable to a little bit older cards. The chrome finishes today are a little bit different than they were. They're a little bit more glossy today. They're that's why they used to have that protective like peel on the cards. If you remember like the older Topps Finest and Topps Chrome cards, they used to come with that peel. So the finish has changed, but I think that was an issue that some people ran into, was actually peeling off part of the surface in a one touch too long, because the texture of a penny sleeve is much softer and than the one touch lid. So
you should definitely if you want to put it in a one touch, you need to do one with a penny sleeve in one touch.
Yeah, the pro mold.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm gonna do when I get home now. Thanks for giving me some homework here. No, I have a few of my nice cards in one touches, so yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that. Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
I'm gonna show them to you, see if they're useful. I thought it was interesting because I actually comped out one of your favorite draft classes, because you're PC guy, Tyrann Mathieu, and
2013. Let's go.
Big matchup for him this weekend. See how he does against Kyle Pitts, right?
Oh, didn't think about that. Some LSU on Florida action.
That's it. Yeah, that's a mismatch right there, and that's going to be a tough task for
a Badger, especially now that the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson trade.
All right, so let's see. All right, so let me share my screen. Share screen. So I did a basic comp on the Prizm PSA 10 from the 2012 draft class year. So I've got their pop report, the amount of sales in the past year, which I was surprised to find at Ryan Tannehill. But when you look at the pop comparison, I guess that's what led to more sales because they're only $30. And then I did a 2013 draft class comp, and I thought it was pretty interesting to see that, in fact, Tyrann Mathieu, with only a pop of 28, had more sales than Zach Ertz and right about the same amount of sales as Keenan Allen on the same, or actually lower pop. And I'm wondering if that's from the team change, if that's what kind of caused that spike in a lot of those sales were during that time period. It's a little bit lower resale value on his Prizm PSA 10, but it's pretty interesting because look at the price of Travis Kelce on a pop of 269, 51 sales in the year versus DeAndre Hopkins, a pop of 415, 58 sales, but only a $50 trend.
That is very interesting. Like, I know that's like a small sample size of sales, like only like 12, 13, 9. I believe I am one of those PSA 10 sales. I might have gotten mine a little bit longer than that.
I went back a year.
Yeah, I
1 year.
I think I got mine about a year and a half ago. Uh, this doesn't really shock me. It's interesting. There's a lot of these wide receivers like Keenan Allen who, for some reason, just don't have a massive market, if you will, of people that want his cards. Even though he's been top 5, top 10 receiver of the past decade, and a wide receiver only being a few bucks over a safety is just pretty crazy. I know Tyrann Matthew's a little bit different because, and I know this just from PCNM, he is a little bit on the higher side for defensive guys. Just the Honey Badger mantra. He has played on a lot of different teams. He does have a huge, huge, huge fan base, and honestly, a big reputation. So yeah, it's also interesting Zach Ertz's prices. I don't think he's going to make the Hall of Fame. I think he's just going to be like one of these really just good tight ends. So I don't know.
It's also important to note, and if I just had like an endless amount of time, I would do this for each guys and look at both sets because I see even more transactions from 2013 on their Topps Chrome. It's a little bit more readily available card. It was submitted a little bit more. So I did this for the goats before I got into those, like just the draft class in general. I went to the goats and like looked at their base versus their chrome card, which in my opinion is today it's like looking at a optic versus a prism,
Right.
or looking at from like Russell Wilson's class of 2012 or 13, a Topps Chrome versus a Prism, and those select years. But like Brady's, for example, I thought this was really interesting. It's an interesting question. Would you rather have a Chrome 8 that's got a pop of 720 for 2,500, or a base Bowman 9 with a pop that's almost twice as much going for the same price? Pretty interesting.
I'm always going to take the Chrome over the base. But
you would look at the pop, dude. Look at the pop on his Chrome 10, 1121. The pop on the base 10 is only 462. And I'm wondering if it's almost like, okay, if you're buying a Brady Bowman rookie card, you're 99% chance going to buy one graded because of the amount of reprints and fakes out there. So there's a lot of transactions on these cards. It's like his most liquid card. And this is not a big difference between the base and the chrome, but there is a big difference between the pop report.
Yeah, well, then I'll definitely take the base when it comes to the pop report. But, then let's just say someone that doesn't know cards, their first question would be, why are these ratios so different? why is the jump from a 9 to a 10 a drastically lower number, from like 1372 to 462? Are they grading this copy in particular just because they know it's a Brady rookie harder than they would other cards? Is there a higher standard for this card to be a 10? I would guess so, because it is his most iconic card, and you don't want it to be a Zion Williamson situation where there's 20,000 of them out there. It still blows my mind that that's even a thing. But yeah, mm, you know how it is with me, Andy. I would take the card over the base card, but I'll always take rarity over non-rare. And I would take the 462 here. What about you?
Yeah, I think I would go with the base, because I'm like looking at this, and if it's in a slab, you don't. I feel like you don't get a sense for the chrome texture as much. It's not as big of a deal
Ah,
to me. And it's like ultimately it's the same photo, it's the same Bowman rookie card, right? And I'll go with a higher grade, lower pop. It's obviously more difficult to get that card in a 10, and it's still the same photo and it's got all the same assets, just doesn't say chrome underneath. So yeah, I think I would go with the base 10 as well.
did you sell 10 or more cards before the start of the year? Do you think most people would have sold 10? You want to go higher? 15.
Um,
Let's go 15.
yeah. I mean, some people like Andrew Perry in the Discord had like 350, sold like 350 in
Dang.
August.
Perry's
Yeah,
a beast.
tore it up, man. I think I'm let's see how many I sold. I sold a nice AJ Dillon over the weekend. Just sold a key Austin Eckler today. This morning, people are already blowing me up on my Kadarius Toney gold.
Let me see it.
Sniped it, dude. Total snipe on this card. Oh, where'd I put it? Right here. I put it up in the Discord. It was ending in the afternoon, and I'm like, no way. The guy had a poor listing title on this card,
Oh, it's
and
auto.
yeah, it's auto, numbered out of 5, but it's from XR, but it's gold,
It's gold,
numbered out
man.
of 5. Guess how much I sniped this for an auction ending in the afternoon?
Let's
Nobody was getting in on it but me.
well, let's go 24.
Ooh, close. I got it for 36.
Oh man, numbered to 5. You dirty
Yep.
animal.
And so I've relisted it already for 100, and I'm getting blown up with offers at 75, 80, and
Oh,
yeah. I mean, I'm holding firm. There's no sense in getting jumpy right now when I got at least a few days.
he's
He's
so,
only a second year player.
he's so exciting, man. There's going to be a spike week, right? That's my favorite thing about those kinds of players like him. He's so great with the football in his hands.
I'm looking at the Trey Lance club level silvers are still a little bit higher than the Justin Herberts, which is pretty wild. But they're closer now, man. They're closer. But this happens with any new product. We know it, when it levels out.
Yeah, but I'll also say this: there's a lot of Trey Lance buyers right now very worried about the Jimmy G stuff, and now Trey is saying there's these reports saying that Trey is disappointed that they kept Jimmy G or something like that. And I'm like, dude, just worry about your own stuff, man.
Yeah.
Don't worry about anything else other than what you could control, bud.
Yeah, I mean, look, they need the depth. The guy's been there, so he's been there. He's played with them at a high level in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl. So it's like, I get it. Makes sense.
Mm,
Plus, he's coming back from an injury, so his peak trade capital, right? The most they could get for him probably be in October. I'm sure we'll have a significant injury by then, from on somebody's team, and maybe then they can. I know he's got a no trade clause, but it's on Jimmy's side, so Jimmy could always waive that to get actual starting opportunity and
all right, let's
money.
do it.
Yeah,
Let's
let's
go.
do it, man.